Today I've entitled my sermon The Twisted Gospel, so as you probably guess, it's going to include some balloons. So if you are scared of balloons or allergic to balloons, you may want to back up slightly, otherwise we'll see how we go. 25 years ago, I was sitting in a training program, a brand new pastor, and they were training us in youth ministries. And the training pastor said, you can use balloons sometimes in ministry. One of the things he was showing us different tools, and I was fascinated as this pastor blew up this coloured balloon, just like so. And I watched as he tied it off and began to twist it. A head, ears, join those two together. And I thought, I might be able to do that. Then did a neck and a front leg and a paw and another paw and join those together. And then the body, back leg, paw and a paw and join those together. And it turned into a dog. And I looked at that, and he then gave us a balloon. I'm not going to do that today. And we all made one. And I took it home and undid it and remade it and undid it and remade it about 6 or 7 times, little knowing that right there and then an obsession was born. And much to my wife's horror, I went out to the closest balloon store and purchased a balloon and a pump and began to twist. I'm sure in the first couple of weeks I made all the beasts of Daniel and Revelation and popped a few and twisted and shaped and began to teach myself how to do balloons. I didn't know when I made that first balloon that God was going to take what I had and shape it and use it for his purposes. But boys and girls, mums and dads, want to do anything, it takes practice, it takes patience, but also it takes allowing God to use what he has placed in your hands. So as I began to twist and shape, I began to learn how to make something harder. And soften it and tie it off. And tie it into a circle. I'm going to fold it, turn it into sausages, vegetarian sausages of course, and fold it and squash it. What are you blocking ears for? It might go pop. But even if it does go pop, I've got to realise that sometimes we all have those bad days. You know those bad days when things go wrong? You feel a bit like a twisted mess like this? Do you have those days, or it's just me? The days you get the wrong side of bed, when you spill your breakfast or you burn your toast or the bike tire's flat or the car won't start and your day just goes wrong. I've got to remember when things are going wrong that God has a plan. You see, the Bible says that he makes everything beautiful in his time. That's in Ecclesiastes. And he's put eternity in our hearts. So when things are going wrong, I claim that promise. But also in the New Testament it says that he that began a good work will complete it. So I claim that promise as well. So I need to get on with it. I'm going to twist it and blow up the green one. Tie it off. And I'm going to give it a tulip twist right in the top. And join the two together. Give it some leaves. And it's turned into a beautiful flower. Remember, when things go wrong, God is twisting you. He has a plan to turn your life into something beautiful. He's shaping you, and it might even go pop some days. But he still is shaping us into something amazing. Well, I kept on practicing, and I love doing that tulip twist. It took me quite a few goes to practice it, but I finally got that one right. I'm going to do it again, right in the middle. Grab the balloon, twist it. I don't need this bit. I'm going to get rid of it. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. And there it is. It's a work in progress. You know, we're all works in progress as God twists and shapes us into his amazing creations. And he has a different creation and a different plan for all of us. You see, this is just a small little balloon, but it's part of a bigger picture. And sometimes we can't see clearly what's going to happen. Who would have known at the start of 2020? I can remember sitting down to the youth department, planning around 2020 vision and what an awesome year 2020 is going to be, and putting our summer camp themes together and things, and not knowing that this year we're going to be ravaged by bushfires, coming out of the worst drought we've had for a long time, bushfires and floods, then pestilence. Who would have known that this year was going to be the year of all sorts of things going wrong? But we've got to remember that God knows the future. He's got it. And he holds everything in his hand. And sometimes we only see part of the bigger picture. This is a light. The Bible tells us that Jesus is the light of the world, and we celebrate that in the next few weeks as we move into the Christmas season. In fact, we're going to be talking about that in our Sabbath school today, boys and girls. But we're also told that we are the light of the world. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." This is a light, and we need to let a light shine, especially in the darkness. But I need to attach it to something bigger that I made earlier. It needs to be attached. There we go. It needs to be attached to a solid foundation. I made a foundation earlier, and I'm going to attach this light to the solid foundation. There we go. You know, the Bible talks about foundations. It says that everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice, this is Matthew 7:24, is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the wind blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. I don't know about you, but what has got me through this year, and it's been a pretty hard year. My wife's a teacher and she's got 2 more weeks. And boy, are her eyes hanging out. The teachers, anybody here teaches, I see one in the front, I take my hat off to you guys. What a year you guys have had. Trying to teach online and offline, and some students in class, and students out of class, and kids upset and fractious and whatever else. But it's been a hard year for teachers. Who are students here, by the way? Yeah, you guys had a hard year too, but make sure you thanked or have thanked your teachers because of what they've done as well. But yeah, I know the hard year we've had, it's been great to have a rock. Jesus, the solid foundation. He's got me through, He's got you through, and we are here to celebrate the Christmas season. The rock, the foundation, the firm foundation that gets us through anything that comes our way. But this is not finished yet. It's a work in progress. You know we're all works in progress as God twists and shapes us into His amazing creations. It needs a front end. I made a front end earlier, so I'm going to attach, get the right spot, the front end onto this creation. One there, and one there. Uh-oh. I have a problem. It's gone wrong. Do I give up? Do I run away and hide? I've made a huge mistake. I need to undo it. You know, when things go wrong, and they do, never, ever, ever give up on God. Because He never, ever, ever gives up on us. When things go wrong, when things go wrong, ask the Master Twister Jesus to come into your life and do the fix, because He promises to sort things out and get us back on track. Here we go. I need to tie that one in there. Put that one in there. And even when things look really bad, remember that God never, ever, ever gives up on us. He loves us so much that He sent His Son Jesus to die for us, so that anyone who believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. And that is the twisted gospel. No matter what happens, no matter what goes wrong, no matter what happens in our life, we have a Jesus who came to earth, was born on earth, grew up as one of us, and then showed us the way to the Father, and then died on the cross for us, but then was resurrected, and now is in heaven mediating on our behalf. That is the good news. When things go wrong, that is all that matters, is that God never, ever, ever gives up on us. In fact, in Hebrews it tells us that we can go boldly to the throne of grace, where we can find mercy, where we can find forgiveness, where we can find Jesus, whose grace is sufficient for us. He indeed is our front end when all else fails. But it's not finished yet. It's still a work in progress. I think I need to give it a grill, not a barbecue grill. This thing needs a grill at the front to protect all that is inside. So I made this grill earlier, and putting on the grill to protect the engine. You know, the Bible tells us to put on the full armour of God in Ephesians. So no matter what the enemy throws at us, we can stand firm with God's armour protecting us. So we have the front end to protect the engine from everything that goes on. Okay, but it's not finished yet. It's still a work in progress. I think this thing, and I wonder if you can guess what it might be yet, boys and girls, but don't call out, just think what it might be. It needs some big back wheels. I made some big back wheels earlier. So one wheel on there, and the other back wheel on this side. You know, this thing I'm making needs huge back wheels. The back wheels give it strength. The back wheels push it forward. No matter how muddy it is or how much water it's going through, it can find traction, and the back wheels propel it forward. But it also needs front wheels. I made front wheels earlier, hopefully. Yes, they're here. Front wheel on here, smaller front wheels. And the other side, another front wheel on here. The front wheels provide steering and direction and tell us where to go. The Bible tells us that thy word is a lamp unto our feet and a light to our path. And this year especially, and most days, I've just had to say, Jesus, take the wheel. Get me through. And Jesus steers us and gets us through and gets us to where we need to go. He knows the future. He knows tomorrow. He holds our hand. And that's mattered, especially this year with all that we have all gone through. But finally, it needs a smokestack. For those who are technical, I think they call it an exhaust. I'll put the exhaust in just here. And there it is. Can you guess what it is, boys and girls? A tractor. Not just any tractor. Can anyone guess what type of tractor it might be? For those that know their tractors, you'll know that this is a certain type of tractor down the back there. Yeah, you've got it. A John Deere tractor. You know, a huge tractor is the reason why I am here today as a balloon twisting children's pastor. 1915 was when it began. Mr. Bottrell was out the back of Broken Hill, and he was watching the camels that were trying to cart the wool and the wheat through the desert to the Murray River to get it onto a paddle steamer and down to market. And he said, I think I can do better. So he went back to Melbourne and spent an entire year fabricating, welding, engineering, and putting together a huge, gigantic tractor. Affectionately called Big Lizzie. And he put this tractor together. It was so big and cumbersome that it only moved at 5 miles an hour. But that was okay, because he wanted traction. He put boards on the wheels so it created a constant bridge, road for it to drive on. He created modern tank technology to get this thing through the desert sand out of Broken Hill. And he had 2 big trailers so that he could put 800 bags of wheat on the tractor, rather than 3 or 4 bags of wheat on a camel. He thought he had it sorted. And so he left Melbourne to drive down the river along the Murray, hoping to cross it somewhere and get out to Broken Hill. Only one problem. As the tractor went down the road, guess what it did? It dug up the road and dug up the cobblestones. It made a mess. But the tractor moved so slowly that Mr. Bottrell went behind the tractor and let it go forward, and he kept on fixing the road as the tractor went forward. He came down to a place near Echuca, and he thought, I can cross it here. There's a bridge. So he took Big Lizzie and its 2 tractors out onto the bridge and was halfway across when guess what happened? He broke the bridge. So he had to get the tractor off the bridge, and he used some of the spare steel he had to repair the bridge, and a big dent was in one side of Big Lizzie's tank where it hit the bridge. But he kept on going down the Murray, trying to find a place to cross. The tractor moved slowly at 5 miles an hour. But Mr. Bottrell, everyone heard about him, because this was a big contraption. And it moved so slowly, and people came to see it. But Mr. Bottrell was an Adventist, and every Sabbath he stopped his tractor, stood on the trailer, and he preached to the people. And the people came to listen. And then on Sunday he'd pack up and keep on driving down towards Mildura to cross to Broken Hill. He came to Swan Hill. The river was flooded. He couldn't cross there. So he drove the tractor right down to Mildura, and by now he was out of money. He went down to the river and couldn't cross it there either. Had to wait till the river was low enough so he could cross it. So to make some money, he began to clear a great big log behind Big Lizzie, began to clear the land. See, soldiers were coming home from the war, and he used Big Lizzie to flatten the mallee scrub and to put in place farms for the returning soldiers, grapevines and citrus and olives and apricots and plums and all the things that farmers could grow around Mildura as the soldiers came back to settle and got their blocks. And he survived financially by doing that. But every Sabbath, he stopped and preached from his trailer until one day there were enough people to form the Mildura Seventh-day Adventist Church. Mr. Bottrell never made it out to Broken Hill. His mission was a failure. See, by the time he could crossing it out there, roads had been built and new ways of transport and carting the goods had been created. His mission, his ultimate mission, failed, but not his eternal mission. You see, Mr. Bottrell's relatives preached to my grandma and did Bible studies with my mother. Mr. Bottrell did not know it back then when he was trying to fulfill his mission, that he would sow some seeds that would rebound down to eternity. He did not know that because his relatives converted my grandma and my mother, that my mother would have 5 sons and 1 daughter. And 4 of those are pastors today in the Adventist church somewhere across our eastern seaboard. And my sister is a teacher in one of our schools, sowing more seeds for eternity. And my son is now a pastor in one of our churches. All because one man, Mr. Bottrell, set out on his mission and God's mission, and God used his mission for a greater purpose. Boys and girls, I want to tell you that God is twisting your life into something amazing. It might take some twists, it might take some turns, it might even go pop. But remember this, God never, ever, ever gives up on you. So never, ever, ever give up on God. He has an amazing story to telling your life too. And I look forward to watching that and hearing that when we all get to heaven. Thank you. Our loving Father in heaven, indeed you are our lighthouse. You shine in our darkness, especially this year, 2020. Look forward to 2021, when you continue to tell your story through us, your twisted gospel in our lives. It'll take some twists and turns. Some days it might even go pop. But remember for us to remember that you never, ever, ever give up on us. Help us to never, ever, ever give up on you. Continue to twist us and shape us and make us and tell your story through us that will rebound down to eternity. This we pray in thy name. Amen.